Welcome to BSHF webinar series 1 Talk 8. I would like to invite organizer Dr. Brahma Singh, Padma Shri Awardee, Chairman, BSHF India.
Mr. Shiv for helping BSHF in webinars. Dear friends, Namaste. On behalf of BSHF and my own behalf, I wish you all happy Chhat Parv or festival. BSHF, the Professor Brahm Singh Horticulture Foundation, Delhi, has a major objective of horticulture development in the country by disseminating and demonstrating modern horticulture science and technology. In this series of webinar on vegetables for nutrition and entrepreneurship, we try to request eminent scientists on vegetable crops to benefit the stakeholders with their vast exemplary work and experience. Today, you are going to know the nutraceutical potential of a vegetable crop known as bitter gourd. Most of you know that bitter gourd is a vegetable crop for nutrition and health security. Bitter gourd rich diet has been observed and repetitively reported useful in managing diabetes or hyperglycemia, a health problem world over. After regular eating bitter gourd, hypoglycemic effect develops due to certain bioactive molecules which I'm sure the speaker would highlight in his talk. I believe after the talk, you are going to name the crop as better gourd instead of bitter gourd. The speaker today is renowned vegetable scientist Dr. TUSAR KANTI BEHERA, principal scientist and professor, Division of Vegetable Science at Indian Council of Agriculture Research, Indian Agriculture Research Institute, New Delhi, who would be introduced by ICAR-RAFI AHMED KIDWAI Awardee, Dr. PRITAM KALIA, former emeritus scientist and head Division of Vegetable Science, IARI, New Delhi. Dr. Pritam Kalia is moderator to this webinar. Now, I request Dr. Pritam Kalia to please introduce the speaker by highlighting his good work on vegetable crops and progress the proceedings of this webinar. Dr. Kalia ji.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, viewers. It's indeed a great privilege for me to introduce today's speaker, Professor TUSAR KANTI BEHERA. Dr. BEHERA had his education in Odisha. His schooling was from Balasore, area from where he belongs. He had his graduation from Orissa University of Agriculture and Technology, Bhubaneswar, and thereafter he had his PhD from Indian Agriculture Research Institute, New Delhi. And Dr. BEHERA had his postdoctorate from University of Wisconsin, United States of America. Dr. BEHERA started his job after having qualified ARS examination, national examination. Started his job from Indian Agriculture Research Institute itself, and now he's holding the position of principal scientist as well as academic position of Professor of Division of Vegetable Science. Dr. Behera has his research area in vegetable breeding, and in the beginning, now he is handling molecular vegetable breeding, especially focusing his research areas in cucurbitaceous crops, especially bitter gourd and cucumber. Dr. Behera has contributed significantly during the journey of his 20 years of service in vegetable breeding at IARI. And during this period, he handled 9 institutes projects and 10 externally funded projects. And he bred 18 varieties, including hybrids, in different vegetable crops, which have been released by the State Variety Release Committee and Central Variety Release Committee, and finally notified. In addition to the varieties, he also registered promising lines at National Bureau of Plant Genetic Resources. Especially one is predominantly gynoecious line in bitter gourd with high female to male ratio, and also one virus resistant line in sponge gourd. Dr. Behera has isolated for the first time gynoecious lines in bitter gourd from the feral form of Momordica carentia muricata, which is small fruited type cucumber. And the gynoecious sex form, he has worked out his inheritance as a single recessive gene guard, which was christened as the name of the gene as small GY1 gene, which has been transferred into the background of commercial varieties like the earlier varieties of IARI, Pusa Domasmi, and Pusa Vishesh. He has also developed for the first time the different bitter gourd variety called as Pusa Rasdar, which is suitable for cultivation in protected condition under the net house condition, as well as poly house and greenhouse condition. It has suitability too. Besides that, Dr. Behera has developed for the first time again the gynoecious lines in the background of the traditional varieties, which has been further licensed to the different private seed companies for commercialization and for developing their own hybrids with their own material, which is quite a significant contribution. The important such private seed companies are Ankur Seeds and Namdhari Seeds, which has say in the private seed sector. And so that's a very significant contribution that Dr. Behera has made in this crop. And he has also introgressed these gynoecious trait in cucumber also, which is also a very important crop using marker-assisted backcross breeding program. So this is the significant contribution that Dr. Behera has made, and taken his contribution to the level of licensing and making available the hybrid seeds through that process to the farmers. In this process, Dr. Behera has also guided various doctoral students and MSc students. And besides that, he has risen to a very high level, to that level of director, that he has been given responsibility of developing or taking forward or monitoring the IARI-like institute in Jharkhand, which is now almost established at Hazaribagh in Jharkhand. Dr. Behera has been holding the responsibility of monitoring the development of this institute and guiding its proper development. He also served as chairman of various subcommittees for the development of postgraduate curriculum in horticulture for Myanmar and then for Afghanistan, which is also speaks very high of his caliber at this stage, that he has developed. I have been associated with him for quite long, and I have seen that he has that managerial skills right from beginning, which are inbuilt him, and that benefits the institution now. Besides that, the contribution that he has made in the scientific arena, Dr. BEHERA, because of those, has been chosen as fellow of the National Academy of Agriculture Sciences, which is the premier body in the country. And then besides that, he is also a fellow of three other important professional societies fellowship he has been provided, like that of Indian Society of Genetics and Plant Breeding, Indian Academy of Horticulture Science, and Indian Society of Vegetable Science. Dr. BEHERA has had opportunity to visit different countries like United States, Australia, France, Russia, Thailand, Libya, because of his knowledge that he has gained at early stage and the various fellowships which he could had into his kitty. Because of his the contribution, he has also been showered various awards like 20th Hari Krishna Shastri Memorial Award, then Best Teacher Award at IARI, Dr. Bisbajit Chaudhary Memorial Award of Indian Society of Vegetable Science, Dr. Kirti Singh Gold Medal Award of the Indian Academy of Horticulture Science, then Fulbright Nehru Academy and Academic and Professional Excellence Fellowship of United States, which is quite a significant achievement that he has had because of his knowledge and the activity that he does in his subject. And then he also was awarded by Hooker Award, which is also very important award of Indian Agriculture Research Institute. Then he has had assignments at the FAO level also. FAO International Consultant in Vegetable Breeding he has had in Libya in 2010. Then DBT Visiting Associateship in Biotechnology also he has had in United States of America, again at Wisconsin. Then based on his PhD thesis, he was awarded Dwarikanath Memorial Award in Vegetable Science. And Dr. BEHERA has done a lot of publication. He's very good in that skill also right from beginning. He has been contributing a lot of papers, publishing in international journals of repute especially. And he has published 125 research papers in that sense, and edited 3 books, and also 15 book chapters he contributed, and 7 training manuals. And based on his contribution to this, he has good Google citation of 2,227, which is quite big. At very early stage, he earned that distinction. And with the H index of 27 and I10 index of 66, that he has recently. Then he has also been member of various policy making bodies of ICR, and even at the Niti Aayog, which was earlier known as Planning Commission. He was member of 11th 5-year plan for horticulture, plantation crop and organic farming. And also is member of various research advisory committees of ICR institutions, especially the Mushroom Research Institute at Solan, and then also Bihar Agriculture University, Bhagalpur, he is member of. And then he is member of various institute management committees of very many institutions like that of 4 ICR institution. He is IMC member. Besides that, Dr. Behera has been on editorial board of various journals of various societies, especially that of Indian Academy of Horticulture Science, which was earlier known as the Horticulture Society of India. Then also he is editor of Agriculture Research Journal of Punjab Agriculture University, editor of Cucurbitaceous Genetic Cooperative Report of United States, and the editor of Indian Society of Agriculture Sciences, and is member of editorial board of Indian Society of Plant Breeding and Genetics. So that speaks of high volume of achievements and recognition that were showered on Dr. Behera because of his intelligent skills that he has in managerial activities and in contribution to his scientific aptitude. So with that, I invite Dr. Behera to deliver his talk and benefit the viewers. Dr. Behera, please.
So thank you, Dr. Kalia sir and Dr. Singh sir. So I think it is a great opportunity for me to just have a talk of particularly in the vegetable science and vegetable crops. And most important is that we can say that the bitter gourd, which is really important for me. And from the beginning, when I started my career at that IARI itself, so I work on bitter gourd very well, and also in different cucurbits vegetables I worked on. But this bitter gourd is my, you can see they touch my heart, and I worked very nicely in this particular crop. So I started my career as in 1998 in the division of vegetable science, and I worked from that. Some of the cucurbits, like as Dr. Kalia has mentioned, and Dr. Singh also was mentioning about the bitter gourd. I really have a very good opportunity to work with him, Dr. PRITAM Kalia, and Dr. Singh, also Dr. SHRI. So I gained a lot of things, particularly in the bitter gourd breeding itself, and also the genetics of this crop and how it is behaving in that particular way. So why it is so important that a crop of very potential for nutritional as well as particularly for nutraceutical values, health security, and income generations. So this was the topic itself. So in the first picture itself, you can see the variations in the different crop with respect to this particular crop, with respect to the shape, size, color, and everything. It is totally different. And worldwide, you can see the bitter gourd as a different class of bitter gourd. You can find it in the different countries. So my topic will be this. First is that introduction about bitter gourd, then market segments in bitter gourd for nutritional security, for health security, and then breeding for yield and earliness, molecular breeding. In some slides I can put it there. I think that a lot of people are there, so we have to have a different type of some of the scientific work also I can put it there, and some of that very much of interesting for the health point of view, that also I can put it here. And then protected cultivations in bitter gourd is also very important. Then income generations and then marketing of bitter gourd, how to go for marketing and what type of things will be there. So I start with,
just one. Oh, I just forgot to tell viewers that if they have any questions during the talk, they can put forth their questions so that Dr. Behera can answer at the end of his talk. Thank you.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. So you just see the cucurbits is a very crop which is both seen in the new and the old world, and you can see the family of Cucurbitaceae. There were 118 genera and 820 species. So you can imagine how this big genera is there in this particular family. And you have different subfamilies also. But if you see the gourd family also, it is very much familiar with India. If you have a lot of gourds like bitter gourd, ash gourd, bottle gourd, sponge gourd, ridge gourd, pointed gourds, snake gourd, spine gourd, small gourd. So you can name the gourds if it is so much important for us. And that are very much of giving the health and nutritional security to the human being. So coming to this bitter gourd cultivation, if you consider, then you can see that mostly it is concentrated in Asiatic region, and mostly the Eastern Asia, East Asia, Southern Asia, and also Asian part where we have, and some of the African countries also, they are also growing this bitter gourd as the main crop. Now, if you see this in Asia itself, we are the leadings in India, that is 31% area is covered, particularly for this 340,000 hectares of blind each company, this bitter gourd is concerned total in Asia, and in India it's 31%, China then is 22%, and Pakistan is 90%. So these are the crops which is grown in the mostly in case of Asiatic region. If you consider this bitter gourd productions in India itself, we have very states which is emerging is a lot of productions in this particular, the small state like Chhattisgarh is producing a lot of bitter gourd, and Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Tamil Nadu, even Odisha. So these are the states where we have about 1 lakh hectares of this area is covered, and we have a total production of 10.5 lakh tons. So again, it is also increasing. So here I have seen that Dr. Simon Groot, who got this World Food Prize, he is a laureate, and in 2019. What he says that if you have transformed the role of empowering the millions of smallholders of farmers, and you have to also give the millions of the consumers to the nutritious vegetables, then you can see that by in his hand, the bitter gourd is there, which is a healthy diet to all of us. Now coming to this just genesis of this bitter gourd, you can see this, it is a very good crop, and if you see the genesis itself in Momodica, you have 47 species are grown in Africa and 12 in Asia and Australia. So this is by this Scapper and Renner in 2010. And if you see in India, we have 7 species are grown, and mostly the Charantia and Balsamina. You can see it here in the picture, and you can see that this is also the monoecious the crop, and whereas Dioica, Sahedrica, Renigera, Cochinchina, and Cymbellaria, these are all having dioecious in nature. That means both male and female plants are different, whereas in monoecious, both male and female flowers in the same plant. And if you see this totally taxonomic characters of this, all these species, you can find the monoecious having the non-tuberous roots, whereas the dioecious having the tuberous root. And there is a lot of variations you can find with respect to the leaf shape itself. So these are the studies done by my student Bharti in 2010, and that is really an achievement for us, that a lot of information we generated with this particular Momodica species. And this is again a small bitter gourd type, which we said to be this ancestral form of the Momodica charantia. But if you see this Scapper Renner in 2010, they mentioned that Africa is the center of origin of the bitter gourd, but I don't think they can find a not so much of important species there, which is mostly grown throughout this country, throughout this world. But we say that India is said to be one of the center of our diversity, particularly for this Momodica or this crop. Now coming to this crossability, this is just to have this academic point of view that how this cross compatible is there. So I will not go for detail of this one. But if you see this Balsamina and Charantia, they are not so much of crossable. There is a very important thing. We have to learn that in Balsamina, you have resistance to several biotic and abiotic stresses. But in Charantia, we have lacking of that stress genes, and we have to just incorporate that particular genes from the Balsamina. So we are trying to have a backward generation to produce that particular genes combinations, which can show you the bitter gourd having both biotic and abiotic stresses. So these are the things where I mentioned that this, if you go for crossing with the even dioecious crop with the monoecious type, there will be no cross compatible. But within this dioecious also, there are some compatible and there are some incompatible, and there is also incongruity will be there in a one way or the both the way. So these are some of the papers I published in this case, where you can have some students are there, I think, and some researchers also there. If they want to have a look on these particular publications, they can find it, the genesis of this group and how it is growing in this throughout this world. The market segments in bitter gourd is very important because everybody likes in India itself. Some are liking white type, some likes a long type, some are type green type, dark green type, having tubercles, having non-tubercle type, pointed type, spiny type, and you can see a lot of variations are there in case of Indian Jampaj is concerned. Even if in case of Asiatic type, we have different types of there. If you see this Indian type here, we like to have the crop or the fruits having these tubercles should be pointed. Some are having long, some are having small one, and some are having white one. If you go to South India, particularly Kerala and Tamil Nadu, they prefer to have the white one. So that type is very important. The segment is also important for us to breed that particular varieties to be specific to a regional level. And that also very important. In Philippines, you have very much slender fruit, but there is no ridges. There is a continuous ridges, and there is no tubercles itself. Even in case of China, you can also, a lot of variations are also there in the China. Here in this case of white type, mostly they have light and white background. They have the materials are there. So they grow in China, Taiwan, Malaysia, and Mexico also. Now in Vietnam also you can find this some of the type of medium size, and also some are having tubercles, some are having non-tubercles, but most of them are having these continuous ridges. And if you say the Thai type, it is totally a smooth type of bitter gourd where there is no ridges, and without peeling also you can go for salad purpose in this particular crop. So bitter gourds for nutritional security, my title says, so I can come to this bitter gourd as a nutritional point of view, how much it is important. If you see this particular crop, if I see this particular crop, the leaves are important, the seeds are important, the leaves are important because also they contain some of these acidic resins, which is momodyshins and also some vitamins and amino butyric acid, which is important for our health point of view. The seeds contain also a lot of purgative fixed oils like stearic acids, oleic acids, linoleic acids, and all things also there. So if you see that the seeds, we have to eat also seeds with the bitter gourd. It is not that you only take the bitter gourd, the flesh. You can also take the seeds, which is very, very important with respect to this oil is concerned. And they are also very much of good for human health. The roots is also important, as you mentioned it here. The plants we can eat in the case of bitter gourd plants. So that means they also contain some of the minerals, which is very important, like phosphorus, chromium, copper, lead, zinc, and sodium and iron. Now the fruits also contain, a lot of minerals also were there. And very important thing is that they contains the anti-diabetic properties like saponins, charanthins, momodyshins, and a lot of alkaloids are there, which is really important for our human body, particularly for anti-diabetic activities. Now coming to this antioxidant properties. If you see in case of bitter gourd, you have beta-cryptoxanthin, violaxanthin, carotenoids, and lutein. And another important thing is that you have a different segments I already mentioned you, and you can find that some are having very good in the ripening stage. You can find a lot of these antioxidants will be there. In some of the cases, it is not. It is more found in case of the fresh bitter gourd fruit. So if you say that only the bitter gourd you take in the fresh or in the green stage, no. I can say that bitter gourd can also be eaten in case of if it is properly ripe also, because the ripe bitter gourd contain a lot of antioxidant like a lot of carotenoids, even if it is similar to the carrots itself. So don't forget, because many of these Asian country now they put it the seed arils and the seeds along with this rice, and they cooked it and they eat it. That means they contains a lot of antioxidants, which is really beneficial for the human health. Now, if you see there's a glycemic index in bitter gourd, it is also varies with these varieties. If you see that it is what is the glycemic index? It is that how much the content of food you are taking and how much increase in the blood sugar level. So that also vary. If you see the small type of this bitter gourd, if you eat them in the ripened stage as well as the fresh stage, there is less glycemic index. But if you see in case of your this crop, particularly for the long type, you have a more glycemic index are there. That means if you eat the small fruit type, definitely it lowers the blood sugar. So this is a very important point of view. It is studied by NIN, National Institute of Nutrition, Hyderabad, by Dr. Bhaskaracharya. So I just taken that particular things, that how much this crop having wide range of the varieties with a wide range of these nutrient contents. The resistant starch is very important because the starch which cannot be digested, and it is also important for a human body. And that you can say in case of bitter gourd, like long type, it is a very much of high quantity of this resistant starch, and they are involved particularly for reducing the cholesterol level. and they also increasing the that in content of the insulin also will be there. And so diabetics, those are having diabetes person, they can also taking the long-term phyto-betagote instead of taking the small coated type. But the type I mentioned here because there are also the constraints also different. So how much you should take, where you should take it, and which stage or which are the types you should take it, even in case of alpha amylase inhibition factors. So this is also very important. This is a conversions of the starch to the sugar in this alpha amylases. So this also varies. The varieties also significantly contributed to this alpha amylase inhibitions point of view. And that is also very important. And also you can see that choose the which variety you should go for what purpose. So that is for the health point of view. The protein contents also varies with respect to the different type of varieties. If you have a wild type, particularly for this, what we can say that Momodica dioica or Momodica Cochin chinensis, what generally the people call it wild type, but they're also having the very, in case of your protein content, the carbohydrate contents also varies, which is very important. The less carbohydrate contents will be there, and by which there will be less amount of sugar will be generated from there, and which will be directly involved in case of your giving the health benefits to the human being. So that varieties I mentioned here with respect to the fat content, with respect to the soluble, insoluble, and total dietary fiber content, the bitter gold varieties are of different type. And they also have a raw type. You have, suppose you are taking the fresh conditions, and then cooked with bitter, those you can just take it out of the water and you see the bitterness will be going, and cooked with bitter, and you can find there's a lot of variations will be there in case of dietary fiber is concerned. And that particular varieties which is really required and which is the stage is required, whether you go for ripening stage, whether you go for raw stage, cooked stage. So that is also very important, and that soluble, insoluble, and dietary fiber also varies accordingly. So this is resistance to starch content I already mentioned. Then the nutrients and vitamins in the elite beta-gold line. So just I have seen that you can see the wide range of the different minerals, different antioxidant properties, and vitamins. You can see in case of iron, you can see the 0.3 to 1.47. In case of your total carotenoids, 15.02 to 489.35 mg per 100 grams. Similarly, range of vitamin C, vitamin B1, B2, B3, B7. You can see any type of vitamin complex. If you say the vitamin B complex, as well as vitamin C or vitamin D or K, you can see that your varieties, our varieties particularly, are different. And it is done in case of National Institute of Nutrition, Hyderabad. And we have profiled many of our own varieties, which is developed throughout this country itself. Now, if you see this antioxidant properties and anti-diabetic property, I mentioned that I have one variety that is Pusa Osadi, which is why, because this is contain high amount of carotenoids, having saponin, charantin, and lycopene. And that I put it is a commercial varieties, which also have been released and notified by the Central Variety Release Committee. Now, coming to this antioxidant properties and anti-diabetic properties, I mentioned about this crop and that when you should eat it. Don't say that you should eat it only in case of green stage, but the ripened stage also very important. So that's why if you see that only 8 days after pollination, you have the fruits, which can be in case of fresh fruit. But after 16 days, you can find there is a ripening of this one. And about after 20 days, there is a totally yellowing of this particular fruit. And you can see the seed aerial, how it is red. It is totally carotene rich. And you can also have a lot of other antioxidants. It is there in case of this. So I have analyzed all the whole fruits, the seed aerial, seed, and also with respect to the different varieties of it is behaving. So like different, sir?
Just a minute. Can you in detail explain in Hindi about the diabetic?
Yes, yes. So I can go, मैं इसलिए बता रहा हूँ, जैसे हमारे करेला जितनी है, उसमें बहुत सारे जो मॉलिक्यूल्स है, जो डायबिटिक एंटी डायबिटिक प्रॉपर्टीज है, उसमें सपोनिन, चारंटीन सबसे महत्व है. एंड सब कुछ वैरायटीज हमारे पास अवेलेबल है जिसमें भी कि ये सपोनिन एंड चारंटीन जो कि आपको डायबिटिक्स को रोकने के लिए होता है, वो भी मौजूद है. एंड उसको हम यूटिलाइज कर सकते हैं और खाना खा सकते हैं, जिससे कि हमारा जो ब्लड शुगर लेवल जो होता है वो कम हो सकती है. तो जैसे कि मैं कह रहा हूँ, राइपनिंग समय में क्या होता है, राइपनिंग में उसकी गुण जो है थोड़ा सा कम हो जाता है, बट लेकिन एंटीऑक्सीडेंट प्रॉपर्टीज जो है वो फिर बढ़ जाता है, जैसे आपका कैरोटीन्स हो गया, यू कैन सी द ल्यूटीन एंड अदर मटेरियल्स, वो थोड़ा बढ़ जाता है। तो ये बोथ दी कंडीशंस आप फ्रेश में भी लीजिए और राइपनिंग स्टेज में, बिकॉज बहुत सारे सीड जब हम निकालते हैं, फार्मर्स लोग भी जो सीड निकालते हैं तो राइपन पार्ट को फेंक देते हैं, तो इसको हम यूटिलाइज कर सकते हैं बिकॉज इसमें बहुत सारे जो कैरोटीनॉइड्स है ये बहुत सारे ज्यादा है, एंड इसको फिर ड्राइंग करके भी लोग इसको इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं और उसको फिर कैप्सूल बना के भी खा सकते हैं। दैट मीन्स इसमें एंटी डायबिटिक प्रॉपर्टीज ना हो लेकिन एंटीऑक्सीडेंट प्रॉपर्टीज बहुत ज्यादा है, तो इसको हमने फेंकना भी नहीं चाहिए और इसको यूटिलाइज कर सकते हैं। तो मैं ये भी स्टडीज हमने किया है और इस स्टडी से हमको पता लगा कि लाइकोपीन इज आल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, ऑल्सो इट वेरीज फ्रॉम दिस वेराइटी टू वेराइटी, एंड कौन सा स्टेज में ज्यादा है मैं इसको भी बताया कि ये लाइकोपीन कंटेंट जो है, जैसे होल फ्रूट में 20 डेज आफ्टर फ्रूट पॉलिनेशन, दैट मीन जब राइपनिंग हो जाता है फिर इसको लाइकोपीन कंटेंट बढ़ जाता है। और सपोरिन कंटेंट में बताया था कि जो 8 से 12 डेज अप टू 20 डेज आप उसको, एवं जो है कि लोएस्ट हो जाता है, कम हो जाता है वो जब पकने शुरू हो जाता है। तो एंटी डायबिटिक प्रॉपर्टी जनरली हम लोग कहते हैं कि वो पकने स्टेज में कम होता है बट फ्रेशनेस स्टेज में ज्यादा होता है, लेकिन एंटीऑक्सीडेंट प्रॉपर्टीज फ्रेशनेस में कम होता है और राइपनिंग स्टेज में ज्यादा होता है। तो इसलिए दोनों हमने बताया कि एक ऐसे इसमें न्यूट्रिशन कंटेंट जो है वेरी करता है, जो जैसे वो जो फ्रूट्स है वो व्हेन इट इज गोइंग टू बी राइपनिंग। सो मेन इंपॉर्टेंट इज दैट एंटी डायबिटिक इफेक्ट्स कैसे करता है, ये कुछ जो हमने बहुत सारे रिसर्च फाइंडिंग को देखा है, जो प्लाज्मा ग्लूकोज हेमोस्टेसिस कहते हैं, जिसमें कि कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स डाइजेशन और एब्जॉर्प्शन उसके ऊपर डिपेंड करता है, कितना आपका बॉडी कार्बोहाइड्रेट जो हम खाते हैं उसको डाइजेशन करता है और एब्जॉर्प्शन करता है। सिमिलर केस ऑफ बिटर गोर्ड, कुछ चीज कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स होती होंगे उसको आप खाएंगे तो डेफिनेटली और क्या क्या एक्टिविटीज उसको कर सकता है बॉडी में, जैसे इंसुलिन सिक्रेशन कराता है। आप टाइप 1 एंड टाइप 2 डायबिटीज जानते हैं, टाइप 1 डायबिटीज जो है उसको इंसुलिन प्रोड्यूस नहीं होता है, तो ये क्या करता है ना, जो इंसुलिन प्रोडक्शन में काम आता है और वो पूरे इंसुलिन को बनाने में लिए पैनक्रियाटिक जो सेल में है उसको पैनक्रियाटिक से उसको एक्टिवेट करता है और इंसुलिन बनाना चाहता है। लेकिन टाइप 2 डायबिटीज में क्या होता है, जिसमें थोड़ी थोड़ी इंसुलिन बनती है लेकिन वो ज्यादा खतरनाक नहीं है, लेकिन लेटर स्टेज में जब आदमी बूढ़े हो जाते हैं, थोड़ा सा एज हो जाता है, दैट टाइम इट अगेन दिस टाइप 2 डायबिटीज वेरी सीरियस। अदरवाइज अर्ली स्टेज में इतना सीरियस नहीं होता है जैसे टाइप 1। लेकिन टाइप 1 में क्या होता है, इंसुलिन आप दे सकते हैं, इंसुलिन के लिए जिसे बिटोगोड भी खाएंगे उसको भी रेस्पॉन्ड करेगा, लेकिन टाइप 2 डायबिटिक इंसुलिन को कभी ये नहीं करता है, रेस्पॉन्ड नहीं करता है। तो ये सब चीज जो है हमने देखा है कि जैसे बिटोगोड आप लेंगे, बहुत सारे क्लिनिकल ट्रायल भी हुआ है और इसमें भी आप देख सकते हैं ग्लूकोज यूटिलाइजेशन कैसे हो सकती है, इंसुलिन सेंसिटिव क्या होता है, लीवर में कैसे जाता है, मसल सेल्स में उसका एक्टिविटी क्या हो, इंसुलिन का एक्टिविटी है, ये बहुत सारे रिसर्च हुआ है। तो ये मैं बता रहा था कि जो बिटोगोड का इंपॉर्टेंस है एंटी डायबिटिक के लिए बहुत सारे, जब हमारे रामदेव जी बताते हैं कि बिटोगोड का आप खाइए, उसका जूस पीजिए, यू विल हैव ए लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स इन बॉडी चेंजेस हो सकती है। जैसे मैंने ये बताया कि ये बिटोगोड को लोग आपको अल्टरनेट मेडिसिन के हिसाब से भी लेते हैं। बहुत सारे आजकल प्रोडक्ट आ गया जिसमें कि जूस है, कैप्सूल है, इवन करेला का टी बैग भी मिलने शुरू हो गया है, एंड जिसको ये आप खा के अपना डायबिटीज को कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं। बट हम लोग क्या करते हैं, दिस सेफ्टी और डोसेज हमारा साथ इतना ज्यादा नहीं हुआ है, उसके लिए हमको बहुत सारा रिसर्च और करना पड़ेगा। लेकिन कुछ क्लिनिकल ट्रायल माइस जो है, रेट्स है, उसमें किया गया है और उसमें जो चूहा उसको खिला के उसको डायबिटिक बना के फिर उसको खिला के भी बहुत सारा रिसर्च हो चुका है। एंड मैं बता रहा था कि हमने देखा 1963 से 1963 से काम शुरू हुआ है, एंड अभी तक 170 रिजल्ट्स आई हैव सीन कि जो बिटोगोड को रेट्स को या आपको चूहे को खिला के भी उसके बहुत सारी चीज, उसके जो चेंजेस है इन द बॉडी सिस्टम पीपल हैव ट्राइड, एंड जैसे कैंसर है, हाइपोटेंशन है, ये सब चीज ऑल्सो इफेक्टिव होता है इफ यू गो फॉर बिटोगोड जूस और बिटोगोड डाइट। सो ये मैं बता रहा हूं कि इसका कंटेंट ऑफ बायोएक्टिव कंपाउंड्स है, जिस कंपाउंड्स की वजह से लॉट ऑफ रिसर्च इज आल्सो गोइंग ऑन इन द एशिया एज वेल एज द वर्ल्ड वाइड। हम अभी बताएंगे कि इसमें कंपाउंड है क्या, एंटी डायबिटिक इफेक्ट्स होता है क्या है? तो ये सब जो कंपाउंड्स मैंने हमने लेफ्ट हैंड साइड में किया है, ये तो बहुत सारे लिखा हुआ है, जैसे इंसुलिन, पी इंसुलिन, वी इंसुलिन, पी पॉलीपेप्टाइड्स, मोमोडाइकोसाइड्स, मोमोडाइकोसाइड टी, and lot of other compounds like cucubitidine, then linoleic acids, ये जितनी सब हैं, and then tetraholose, momodine, momodicine, charantin, saponin, lot of compounds are there, जो कि आपको different levels मैंने बताया कि क्या इफेक्ट है. इंसुलिन एक प्रोटीन है, ये जस्ट आप जैसे इंसुलिन खाते हैं ऐसे ही इंसुलिन है. So that sort of things also it aggravate the pancreatic cells, and that also leads to you productions of the insulin. वो क्या करते हैं, lower the blood sugar levels, some of the stearic acids, some of the linolenic acids. ये also GLP function जो होता है इंटेस्टाइन में होता है, उसको भी वो एक्टिवेट करता है, रिलीज करता है, जिसको कि वो और एक एंटी जो डायबिटिक एक्टिविटीज को रिड्यूस करता है. So these are lot of things are already been done by Herbig in Germany. Also the people in the different university, they tried to this bitter gourd. Even in India, in US also the people have tried this crop, and they are now taking, as मैं अभी कुछ दिनों से पहले पढ़ा हुआ था कि हल्दी, करेला, then lot of other Indian medicines now used in case of in USA, particularly for the coronavirus cases. Similarly, in case of bitter gourd juice also you can utilize, particularly for to have this type of body immunity level, also the other proteins levels also to be found in the better way. So that also very important for this bitter gourd juice. So हमने ये बता रहा था कि आप ये जूस जो लेते हैं उसके बाद आपको होता क्या है. इंस्टेंटेनियस ग्लूकोज अपटेक को क्या करता है, जो जैसे कि आपने उसको माइस को ये लोग ट्रायल किए हैं, दे हैव पुट इट इन द रेट्स इटसेल्फ, एंड दे हैव टेकन द डिफरेंट सॉल्युबल जूस को मिथाइल एक्सट्रैक्शन मेथड से कर सकते हैं और वाटर फ्रैक्शन एक्सट्रैक्शन भी कर सकते हैं. तो वो भी फिर रेट्स को जो डायबिटिक है फिर इसको खिलाते हैं, फिर खिलाने के बाद फिर सुक्रोज और ग्लूकोज लेवल भी देखते हैं. तो बिटर गोर्ड इफेक्ट जो है विदाउट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ सुक्रोज, तो सुक्रोज में कोई जब लिए हैं तो उसका कोई इफेक्ट नहीं देखा जब बिटर गोर्ड जूस लिए हैं. बट ग्लूकोज लेवल में आफ्टर एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन of this bitter gourd juice, they find lot of difference in respect to the glucose level. That is जो glucose tolerance हम लिमिट कहते हैं, जो PP और फास्टिंग में मेजर करते हैं. तो ये सब चीज जो है it is इंटेंशनल ग्लूकोज अपटेक का ऊपर also bitter gourd का जूस का और bitter gourd का कंट्रोल रहता है. और another important is theory is that insulin secretion होती है. तो जैसे हमने बताया था कि ये जो डायबिटिक रेट्स है उसको खिलाया जाता है, और ये लोग देखें कि 150 mg पर kg बॉडी वेट, एक रेट्स को जो चूहा को 150 मिलीग्राम पर kg बॉडी वेट के हिसाब से उनको 30 डेज तक दिया गया है. एंड दे कैन फाइंड इट देयर इज ए सिग्निफिकेंट वेट लॉस, प्रिवेंशन ऑफ द वेट लॉस. देन ब्लड शुगर इंप्रूव होता है, मींस ब्लड ग्लूकोज लेवल को डाउन करता है, इंप्रूव्ड ग्लूकोज टॉलरेंस होती है, lower activity of the glucogenetic acid, genetic and glycogenolytic enzymes को in the livers also increase lower होता है, and higher glycogen activity is also found in the liver. So ये एक जो मैं आपको रिसर्च अहमद 1998 के ये दिखा रहे थे कि एक जो रेट से उसको 100 मिलीलीटर पर केजी बॉडी वेट में दिया गया जूस फॉर 9 वीक्स, एंड जो उसमें जो डायबिटिक रेट्स है उसको डायबिटिक आर्टिफिशियली किया जाता है. उसके बाद दे हैव सीन द नंबर ऑफ इंसुलिन सेल्स जो पैंक्रियाटिक में है, पैंक्रियास में है, उसमें इंसुलिन पॉजिटिवनेस कितना आता है. सो दे जस्ट फीड ऑन सम ऑफ दिस बिटर गोर्ड जूस एंड दे फाइंड इट दैट इन केस ऑफ नॉन डायबिटिक कंट्रोल, दैट मींस इसमें आपका कोई डायबिटिक नहीं है चूहा में, सो उसकी जो पैंक्रियाटिक सेल्स में जो इंसुलिन पॉजिटिव सेल्स है बहुत ज्यादा है. जब डायबिटिक है दिखा गया उसमें बहुत कम है, लेकिन फिर इसी डायबिटिक को जब बिटर गोर्ड जूस पिलाया गया, you can see that there is again revival of the insulin positive cells which again activate the productions of the insulin. So each of the theories है, and that also people have tried in a lot of research programs, also been tried in different other countries including European countries have a lot of the work, particularly German and different states they have worked in particular respect. और एक चीज बताया कि increase GLP level secretion is very important, particularly for decreasing the or lowering the sugar content in the blood. So that is very important for everybody. So here you can see that the जो water extraction soluble solutes है उसको फिर दिखा गया कि प्लाज्मा ग्लूकोज जब दिया उसको पिलाया जाता है जूस, and you can see the plasma glucose content, and there is a reduction in the plasma glucose when you after 30 minutes of your putting the juice them और रेट को जब खिलाया जाता है. फिर प्लाज्मा इंसुलिन एक्टिविटी also increase 66.66 था 0.80 हो गया after only 30 minutes after that. Then plasma GLP level, which is also very important, which is reducing the improved glucose tolerance. So that also very important. Here you can find that there is a significant increase in this when you put it the bitter gourd juice. So ये सब activities जो है definitely acting on act on the bitter gourd juice, and by which we are reducing the blood sugar level. Again, another theory is that glucose uptake peripheral tissues. So उसमें भी माइस को ट्रीटेड किया गया है एंड 1.5% जो लाइफोलाइज बिटर गोर्ड जूस को दिया गया 16 वीक्स तक उसकी डाइट में उसी डायबिटिक रेट्स को, एंड इट अगेन नॉर्मलाइज द प्लाज्मा ग्लूकोज लेवल, improve the glucose insulin also, and also enhance the insulin response. So ये अभी क्या होता है peripheral tissues also are being activated with this जो sugar absorb हो जाता है, and thereby the reduction in the blood sugar level में जो glucose है. So this is this totally summary of that particular thing that suggested action for the beta gourd in the blood sugar blood glucose level. There is intestinal glucose uptake, there is insulin secretions will be increasing, there is a glucose uptake peripheral tissues also increasing, but there is reduction in the intestinal glucose uptake. So these are the theory who by different people or different researchers जो कि किए हैं, और जिसके तरह से हम लिखा है कि there is a reduction in the blood sugar level when you eat or take the drink of bitter gourd juice. ये हो गया रेट्स में जो ट्रायल हुआ है, बट क्लिनिकली ह्यूमन बीइंग में ज्यादा नहीं हुआ, बट स्टिल there is a lot of reports are also coming here. I can see that there is some people also giving the diabetic patients who is having type 2 diabetic, like also with bitter gourd juice, and they have seen that insulin-like effect decrease the blood glucose levels when it is administered. Similarly, in case of patient having the 50 type diabetic patients, and there people have tried with different patients itself. Some are used, some people have tried with 7%, some are using 42%, and you can find that there is a significant contributions of the bitter gourd juice, particularly for the post, like PP जो हम fasting और PP करते हैं, PP के बाद how much the level, which is also seen to be reduction after PP, or that is there. Coming also a lot of studies as you mentioned here. These are the studies also done in different by different human activities, the human trial and clinical trial has been done, and the people have seen that lot of effect or lot of influence of this bitter gourd juice, particularly for the insulin activities, will be there. So in the nutshell, if you say that it is a God's food, bitter gourd in anti-cancer. So it is again important, not only anti-diabetic. ये एंटी कैंसर के लिए भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. There is a BBC news that extracts of bitter gourd melon can block the breast cancer. So this is the very good significant theoretical things, not it is a practical things people have tried, and they can see that it also block the cancer, the breast cancer. Even have to say, so it's a God's fruit. The people of the other countries, they put it there. So bitter gourd contains the charantin, vicin, polypeptide P, phenolics, polyphenolics compounds, and different antioxidants, and which you can say that this is very much good for your human health. And if you see that how to extract the process of the ethyl acetate extract, methanol extract, simple water extract, soluble fractions extract. So there are a lot of different way by which you can have a different kind of the based on this extraction process, we can get it the different compositions, or you can get the quantity of that particular anti-diabetic properties or antioxidants. You can find it by this type of extractions will be there. So here I have seen that a person in Africa, how he's taking the this bitter gourd as a ripe stage. So that means he is getting more of 14 carotenoids he's eating. He's also eating the cucurbitacin B, momodin, and a lot of things also there in the ripe fruits. And in the seed area, as you mentioned here, is totally red in color. And you can see that 70.9 microgram per gram of this particular carotenoids fruit found in case of seed area, and which is also very much of important components, is lycopene will be there. So beta good for yield and earliness, as you mentioned, the beta good breeding which started in India way back in 1946 by the Dr. B.P. Pal and Harbhajan Singh, also by Dr. Chaudhary, and some of the breeders like Dr. P. SHRI also work in particular crop and beta gold. And this is the mostly the breeding aspect I am taking, and you might be knowing this Simon and Groot, who has started this also growing this particular crop as a East-West company in 1984, and he also developed some of these 1985. The Jet Star F1 hybrids, the first locally developed commercial hybrids grown in the Southeast Asia. Then several hybrids has been developed till 1992, 1999, and these are the lot of hybrids which is grown Thailand, in Southeast Asia, in Vietnam. These are also there. So my point is that here I have to go for this just simply the major breeding objectives. What things you need it? That is yield improvement is must. Quality improvement is very, very important if you go for maintaining your variety, having a lot of anti-diabetic properties, also antioxidant properties. It's very, very important for development. So you have to screen the materials. What are the varieties you are giving? That variety should have a lot of anti-diabetic properties, antioxidant properties. So that is very important. So breeding objective is one of this quality improvement in beta gold. It's not only that you go for yield or biotic and abiotic stresses. In place of that, also you need the quality improvement, and also you can extend the growing season. You can grow the beta gold cultivations throughout this season, throughout the year, and that you have to go for off-season or protected cultivations. So this is a small example of what I put it here. The beta gold, I converted the small gynoecious fruited type into a large type, and also I mentioned, Dr. Kalia has already mentioned this one, that we will license to the different private seed companies with this one, and 2 companies already there, some are also there. And also Pusa Ausadi and Pusa Rasdar, we also given to the company, particularly for commercializations of these varieties. And this is the pre-gynoecious line, having this the increase in the sex ratio. That means the female and male ratio should also be increased by the different combinations. When you go for developing the new breeds from the gynoecious line, you can find a series of the materials you can generate, which is having a different behavior with respect to male and female ratio or female and male ratio. So that also we publish in different way. So these are the new varieties that are coming at Pusa Ausadi. As I mentioned, the Ausadi, because it is having good content of these different anti-diabetic as well as antioxidant properties. Pusa Purvi, small charantin, or you can say called as Momodica charantia muricata, which is very, very important, having maturities in only 50 days, and also have a different segments, as I mentioned, and people of different other states, they like to have this small type of fruits will be there. So these are the Pusa hybrid 2, and one hybrid 4 is developed, which is gynoecious based hybrids by us, and which is also very much of important. And we started also some of the work in molecular breeding. So I think we started in back in 2008, the first work on this diversity analysis with the molecular markers, and now we have significant work already started. So recently we published one paper, that mapping of the QTLs, and particularly for the genes, which is located in which part of the chromosome. So that is the linkage map we developed, and that by which the genotyping by sequencing, we can also have a different mapping population, and we find it that some of the genes which are for different traits itself. And here you can see the linkage map, where you have a lot of traits of QTLs you can find in the chromosome 7, in chromosome 9s, with respect to the yield and other traits will be there. And another important traits will be the gynoecious trait I already mentioned, and it is there in case of PDM and GY crosses. You can find this QTL is just located only in between these flanking markers, only very close to this gene of interest, and which we can convert to the different lab markers, and that can be utilized for our laboratory experiment, which can also be used for the marker selection breeding. So we also studied some tagging of the genes with the molecular markers, and that to particular pointed, I mentioned about this, some of the areas where the people like to have a very sharp pointed beta gold lines. And somehow you can see it here, we have Pusa Rasdar, which is totally a smooth one and having capsicum shape. And you can see the F2, how these changes will be there. And we have seen that these tubercles is dominant over these. So all the genetics also studied. Also the UC have seen the markers, but they are not so much of closely. We are also going for the fine mapping to develop these markers. And you can see that MCSSR 20 SSR markers, which is also can be utilized for marker state breeding program. We also published that papers in Indian Journal of Genetics and Plant Breeding. In case of taking of the genes for the fruit ridges, which I already mentioned about this continuous and discontinuous ridges. The discontinuous ridges is dominant over this continuous ridges. So there's a lot of genetic studies we did it, and we can also find some of the markers which is also. So this is a field view. And I am very much glad to see that Dr. Dhillon in case of Thailand, he worked in this particular crop, and you can see the beauty of that particular garden here in case of Thailand, and he developed 600 to 800 hybrids, and particularly for this particular crop. So I must thank to him also what he is doing, particularly for the beta breeding. We have also published some of these books like beta genome already published by this Springer itself, and also some genetics breeding in cocoa beets was published here in India. Coming to this another topic, that is a protected cultivations of the beta gourd, which is very important for us, the beta gourd lines for the greenhouse condition. So if you see that most I already shown that the Indian type what we have, particularly very much good for the open field condition, but you don't have a variety which can be very much promising, particularly for the protected cultivation. Yes, of course, we need to have a pollinate them by this one. But if you see the size of the fruits and the number of fruits in a plant, you can imagine that even if you are going for the singly, if you go for pollinating in the morning itself, out of 100 square meter for your polyhouse or the net house, you can generate a lot of income out of this one. So this is the very important, because as I mentioned, that this crop of beta gourd is not now limited to the open field condition and also to go for frying or getting some of the dishes. You can also make it for juice. So if you have to go for the juice making, definitely you have to grow in a very systematic way in the protected conditions. Then only you will get the quality juice. So for that, some of the varieties, it's not that Indian varieties or hybrids are suitable. So you have to go for the varieties which is suitable for this particular net house or the nest house or in the greenhouse condition, which is very, very important. Now I have given here the 4 varieties or 4 lines, which is really a significant. These varieties, those can be grown particularly for the greenhouse condition. And you can see that the greenhouse is IRI. We also put the quantity of the fruits, as well as the quality of the fruits, as well as the juice contents also very much up high with this particular variety. So we release this TUSAR Asdar particularly for this variety for greenhouse cultivation. And out of 100 square meter of insect fruit net house, you can also gain about 11,000. So only up to 100 square meter. In the net house or in the net house. In polyhouse, you can get about when you grow them in case of winter season also 6,740. Just the rest estimates. So that depends on the place to place. It is very, but we have a crop which can be grown throughout the year. You can grow this crop both in the spring, summer, as well in Kharif season in the net house, as well as the winter season in case of polyhouse. So that means 3 seasons you can cover with this particular beta gourd lines. And you can also have a lot of income generation. So these are the things I just taken from East West Seed, and they have seen that how much the quantity of the income generated by the people, which is a successful story, what they have done with their own variety, their own hybrids. So they have mentioned it here. So a 4 acres farm can give about 5,12,000 rupees of this one. In Myanmar, they have given the story of success story of beta gourd, how the cultivation practice is also very important. Not the weed varieties is there. You can see that how these people are growing this beta gourd, and you can see the shape and size and color. Everything also depends if you grow them proper way. And that means about 15 to 20% of the genetic potentiality of a crop can also be enhanced or can also be taken if you go for a proper protocol of cultivation aspect. So that is very important. Here you can see in case of Thailand, in case of your Sri Lanka, and how these people have grown this particular crop and how much they earn it, particularly for this growing of this particular crop. So this is very important that we must say that it also gives you income generation. It also gives the nutraceutical properties. Also the health security point of views are very important. So beta gourd marketing is also very important. If you see the marketing strategy of India, we're not so much of satisfied with this one. But if you see the transportations of the bitter gourd, how this truckload having this bitter gourd will be there, and how they make it, packed it, and what are the methods we have to think of, and then also we can go this bitter gourd to the market into reach. And the packing is in itself, it should be now this bitter gourd crop not only is for the frying as you mentioned, it can also be used as a salad. The people can also take those are of less amount of the bitterness will be there, they can also be utilized for the salad crop. And you can also utilize for cooking, for juice making, everything you can work done with these bitter gourd varieties. And this is the retail shop, how we in India, in Sri Lanka, in Bangladesh, we are doing how this bitter gourd and how it is selling in the market. But if you see the market, how they packed it is also very important, and how it is having white type, look attractive, having more juice content, and they can be also utilized for our purpose. So this is I just say, this is the beauty of this bitter gourd. You can also have a home decorations of the bitter gourd. You can put it in your during your marriage ceremony or any other ceremony. You can put it bitter gourd, and you can see a beautiful flower. You can see it here. Them how they make it with a different color, different size, different growth. So thank you very much, patient sharing, particularly Dr. Brahm Singh sir. He has given me the chance to talk in the bitter gourd. I think bitter gourd we have to learn many things here. Dr. Kalia, who is just introduced me, and we worked together for a long time. I am very much associated with him. I'm thankful to him also. And to all viewers, I really like bitter gourd. So you have to like bitter gourd, and you have to stay healthy and corona free. Thank you very much.
Kalia sir,
Yes, sir.
are you there?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm in time, sir.
Yeah,
yes, very much in time. Worth appreciating. I don't know how did you manage. Dot on time you stopped. Very good.
Yes.
Dr. Kalia, you can invite the question and whatever
Yes.
further proceed kindly.
Okay, viewers, we have to ask Shiv. Shiv, if there is any question, then you can put forth before I conclude.
Till now we don't have, sir.
Huh?
Till now we don't have, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, then. All right. Okay, then I must thank the speaker, Dr. BEHERA, profusely, and I'm sure that viewers must have enjoyed the talk, which he has narrated right from introducing the crop and taking it all through various stages of the nutrition cultivation practices throughout the world, how it goes, how it is the important crop from the point of view of medicinal properties, and how it can help us in maintaining our health. All the viewers, I think we must join hands in giving big applause to him first before I conclude for a very nice presentation, excellent presentation, taking all through different stages of the crop from the growers, from the farmers' point of view, from the consumers' point of view, and from the pharmaceutical point of view, that industrial value also that the crop has. He has narrated very well. And from academicians' point of view, from the students' point of view, it's important that he has touched from the improvement point of view, the traditional breeding program, how it can be carried forward, and then how it can be equipped further with the latest technology of molecular markers, so that we can hasten the breeding process and develop improved varieties at a quicker rate, or increasing the efficiency of breeding. That also he has narrated very efficiently, very nicely, and also telling that the crop is important from antioxidant point of view, anti-diabetic properties it has, and then the nutritional properties, especially from anti-cancer point of view, that he has indicated that when we should take from which angle point of view, that initially at green stage, the important compounds that cherentin and saponin that it carries, which helps us in reducing the glucose level in our blood or blood sugar reduction. It helps in, and at a later stage it develops a lot of carotenoids, especially all the carotenoids, but predominant is lycopene, which has the anti-cancerous properties, proven anti-cancerous properties. So that also put forth or expose our viewers or consumers, tell them that how we can manage the crop from our different cuisine point of view, so that we can harvest maximum health benefits from this crop. As we normally say that in general, the vegetable crops are a good source of various medicinal properties, and as the literacy level is increasing in the country, people are fed up from the medicines, and they want to manage their health through their diet. So this is one of the important crop which helps us. Presently, the population is mainly feeling problem with respect to the increasing sugar level in the blood. Entire community, entire human community throughout the world, and in India is especially. And with respect to various other things, that the nutraceutical, as Professor Brahm Singh mentioned in the beginning, that crop is very well nutraceutical. So it is from that point of view that the compounds Dr. BEHERA has mentioned, they have the properties of increasing our nutrition, increasing our body growth, helping us in general well-being, and also preventing or protecting us from various diseases that these compounds have the properties. And also taking farmers to that level, that how we can have crop throughout the year. So that sort of new varieties that he has developed, and also the hybrids which are different through the public sector institutions like that of the ICAR institutions, as well as from the private sector. They are coming into the system. So that means that the approach is really wonderful, that the value of the material that is being developed, and especially the traditional varieties had one male, one female to 15 to around 15 male flowers. That has been reversed, and it's in the different way he has put into the new material, which is quite a significant contribution that increases the yield potential of the crop, which is important from farmers' point of view. And also that the crop varieties have been developed which are suitable for growing under protected condition. So that also increasing the quality of the produce, because in the open you invite a lot of insect problems, especially that of the fruit fly, which makes a lot of fruits not good for marketing, and reduces the yield potential of the crop of the farmers, and farmers lose on that account. So bringing out those varieties which are suitable for net growing and for the polyhouse, and making available the crop to the consumers throughout the year, it's a win-win situation from farmers' point of view and consumers' point of view. And the success stories that he has narrated is because of that reason. And also I think that in future, as we now focus on developing varieties, especially for these compounds, enriched compounds, the pharmaceutical industry would be interested to extract those compounds and make capsules for those who has major problem based on this. So that way the contract farming will also usher further, and that will benefit one and all. So with that, I think we have had a very nice lecture, especially from this Dr. Brahm Singh's series of lectures on nutrition, health security, and entrepreneurship development. It's a good that we are having such lectures in this program. And I must thank Dr. Brahm Singh and congratulate him for getting this idea and initiating this program of series from this BSHF. So I think from that point of view, I must thank Dr. BEHERA and Dr. Brahm Singh, Dr. BEHERA for the lecture, and for Dr. Brahm Singh for initiating the series of lecture, and we expect that we will have many more lectures, such lectures coming in different sectors and different crops in future to benefit the growers and the consumers and the country as a whole. So thank you very much, Dr. Behera, for very...
Thank you, sir.
And thank you very much. And I put over to Dr. Brahm Singh ji. कहाँ चले गए?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I profusely thank Dr. Professor Kalia, moderator,
I want to see
nicely
you,
moderating.
You need to be seen.
Ah,
You're not...
you want to see me? Okay,
Yes.
I thought you have seen me enough.
No.
Anyway, I profusely thank Professor Kalia for nicely moderating the talk, the excellent talk, and introducing Dr. BEHERA, TUSAR Kranti BEHERA, nicely. I must appreciate for the comprehensive presentation by Dr. TUSAR Kranti BEHERA. An excellent one. You have covered almost all desired aspects of bitter gourd within a allotted time. Great. I must appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
And I congratulate you because you are getting appreciation from people like Dr. Tikku,
Sir.
the honor of Terra Seeds. You know him, Surender Tikku Sahab.
Sir.
And another Sahab, Professor K.V. Peter.
Sir.
They are all authorities on vegetables in the country, topmost scientists.
All bitter goods are not bitter.
Pardon?
Why do?
So, yes. Say.
All bitter goods are not bitter, he has written.
Oh, that's right. No, I think Dr. Kalia, if you recollect, in the beginning I said that after listening to Dr. Behera, the name of the bitter gourd will be changed to better gourd. It is a better gourd.
Yes.
I emphasize that.
God's fruit.
Or fruit, whatever you say it. But gourd is gourd, no? So I think with these words, I once again profusely from the bottom of my heart thank Dr. Behera, Dr. Kalia, and the Mr. SHIV, Andy, UT, Masti man. Excellent job has been done. Though Dr. Kalia said so many things about me, I want to serve the country by disseminating, as I said in the beginning, and demonstrating the horticulture technology and science, so that horticulture can add further to the economy of the country. And horticulture, whether people like it or not like it, whether they realize it or don't realize it, provides excellent employment as well as entrepreneurship opportunities. I don't see any other field in agriculture other than horticulture and vegetables at the top. If you see the horticulture production in the country, I think 50% or so, if I am not wrong, is vegetable crops. So once again, I thank the viewers also. I think they must have got the things worth of their time they have spent with us, and I request them to be with us again next Saturday 6 p.m. You heard today about the bitter gourd, the nutraceuticals. We will be talking about the nutraceuticals of another important vegetable crops, onion and garlic. So with these words, okay, good night. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Pardon?
He has one question. Vikrant Patiyal, he is asking something.
As usual, Shivji, okay, we accommodate you, but next time you kindly keep in mind.
Sir, there's a question
Okay,
that
oh, no, question, yes, I am
I
getting
can
it.
see.
And I request Behera Sahab to oblige, answer the question.
No, this is okay. Diabetic person, how can I use the bitter gourd? So that is the things that what we are using that bitter gourd, particularly with the juice as a juice content. Bitter gourd can be used in many ways, but don't put it in the oil so much of in bitter gourd. You can take the juice itself, but then again, how much the quantity you should take it. It is not that you should take a 1 glass or one, because once you take a more 1 glass or 2 glasses of bitter gourd juice, definitely will be the problem, particularly for different other activities in your body system. So you take a little bit of maybe about 1 or half a glass or half a cup of bitter gourd juice. Again, dilute with the water. You can take it if you have so much of diabetic, but don't take it so much of diabetes. I should take 1 or 2 glasses. So which is not it cannot be digestible. So that is very important, and most of the cases it is found that if you take the bitter gourd juice along with this bottle gourd, the lauki, again you should not take that both combinations, the cocktail. You should not take this one. So you take it a different bottle gourd. If you are taking only bottle gourd, you take it, because bottle gourd, if it is a bitter, again you mix with the bitterness.
सर थोड़ा हिंदी में बता देंगे तो अच्छा रहता।
जो करेला है उसको आपने बिटर गोर्ड जूस का जो हमने यूज करते हैं, आप उसको हाफ ग्लास मैक्सिमम आप 2-5 चम्मच तक आप यूज कर सकते हैं, हाफ ग्लास तक कर सकते हैं। बट जो लौकी के साथ कभी मिलाकर मत पीजिएगा। लौकी में क्या होता है, लौकी इज ए स्वीट टेस्ट होता है, और उसमें जो कड़वापन का लौकी आता है उसमें पिएंगे तो आपके बॉडी के लिए बहुत सारे प्रॉब्लम होती है उसमें, जो कि आपको डिसेंट्री जो होता है उसी में होता है। सो उसमें बॉडी का बहुत सारे ब्लड भी खून निकलता है आपका, वी कैन गो फॉर दिस बाथरूम और टॉयलेट्स। सो दैट सॉर्ट ऑफ थिंग्स आप जो कर रहे हैं कि उसमें कभी मिला कर मत पीजिए लौकी और करेला को। करेला अलग पीजिए, लौकी अलग पीजिए, तो ये आपको बहुत सारे जो बॉडी का हित मतलब यू कैन गेट अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स इन देयर, सो दैट यू हैव टू टेक इट। जूस भी ले सकते हैं, करेला का भरतुआ बना सकते हैं, करेला का बॉईल करके खा सकते हैं, करेला को आपने सलाद करके खा सकते हैं। सो दैट इज द यूज व्हाट यू हैव मेंशन, जब आपने लिखा कैसे आप यूज कर सकते हैं, तो मैं इसलिए बताऊं डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ आप इसको यूज कर सकते हैं इफ यू आर डायबिटिक्स। ओके, थैंक यू सर।
थैंक यू।
और शिव जी और कोई है? हेलो शिव।
No, we don't have that.
Okay, then thank you everybody. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
We enjoyed this evening the talk of Dr. Behera. Thank you once again, Dr. Behera. We profusely thank you. Excellent talk.
Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
ji. Good night.
Thank you. Good night. Bye-bye.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good
Bye-bye.
night, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Good night, everyone.